Hello, today we are embarking on a journey to Nazi Germany. We will be watching a video about Ites Koch, one of the most dangerous women in Nazi Germany. Ites behaved just like the heartless men in Nazi Germany, as if she had no feelings. What she did to people led to her being cursed for years, earning her the name the Witch of Buchenwald. World War II, with the events that took place during the war and the atrocities committed by the Nazis, remains one of the most ruthless moments in history. While the Nazis, led by Adolf Hitler, continued their advance in Europe, they were gathering prisoners in camps. A significant majority of these camps consisted of Jews. In these concentration camps, the Nazis conducted experiments on prisoners and forced them to work under harsh conditions. Many prisoners died under these brutal circumstances. However, that was not the only way they perished. The Nazis also used specially designed gas chambers to end their lives. In one of these camps, there was an exceptionally cruel person, Ites Koch, who was a dedicated member of the Nazi Party. Ites acted just like a man among the Nazis, devoid of any conscience. She was one of the worst women in history. Ites Koch was born on September 22, 1906, in Dresden, Germany. Her father was a retired officer, and her childhood was ordinary, marked by military discipline. At the age of 15, she began taking accounting classes. After finishing high school, she started working as a secretary. When Ites was 26, she learned about the newly established Nazi Party, which was rapidly gaining influence under Adolf Hitler's leadership. In 1932, she joined the Nazi Party, marking the beginning of her second life. Her career started to rise with her party membership, and in 1933, when Adolf Hitler came to power, her early involvement in the party granted her certain privileges. She started working as a secretary in the party, and in 1934, she began working as a secretary in the concentration camp. As soon as Hitler and his party came to power, they wasted no time in implementing their activities. Their actions against the Jews began as promised, although the concentration camps back then were not as terrible as they would later become. At that time, the Nazis were not as harsh as they would be in the years to come. In a few years, they would commit acts that would be condemned worldwide. Ites married the camp's commander, Karl, in 1934, shortly after arriving at the concentration camp. Marrying the camp commander elevated her status. They lived in the concentration camp until 1937, when Karl was transferred to Buchenwald concentration camp. This was where Ilse's cruelty truly emerged. By 1937, Ilse was in a powerful position within the military and the party, allowing her to do as she pleased. Most of the atrocities committed by the Nazis went unchecked in the concentration camps, as there was no oversight. This allowed people like Ites Koch to carry out their wicked acts. When she arrived at Buchenwald camp, she quickly earned the nickname the Witch of Buchenwald due to her actions. What she did was horrifying. She would order new arrivals to line up and then make them undress. She had a particular fascination with prisoners who had tattoos, and if she liked a tattoo, she would have that person killed. She would then have the tattooed skin removed and use it to make various items like lampshades, album covers, gloves, and bags for herself. She used these items in her own home. For the prisoners at Buchenwald, Ites was a source of fear because any man who accidentally looked at her for too long would be beaten for hours, and she would watch as it happened. She considered it disrespectful if prisoners looked at her. Her husband, Karl, was no different. He ordered the prisoners he passed to stand like dogs, and if they didn't, they would be beaten for hours. Ites Koch was also known for her sexual promiscuity at the camp. She had sexual relations with both the camp soldiers and prisoners regularly. She could not control herself, and the terrified prisoners could not refuse her advances. Until 1942, everything seemed to be going well for Ites. Her husband, Karl, was involved in corruption, which led to his arrest. Karl's embezzlement was unforgivable in Nazi eyes, and he received the death penalty when it was discovered. In 1943, an arrest warrant was issued for Ites, but she was acquitted of corruption charges and returned to Buchenwald camp. However, she was not prosecuted for her cruel acts. Although the Nazis were responsible for terrible acts in the concentration camps, Ilse's actions were considered criminal. After her acquittal, rumors began to circulate that she made lampshades out of human skin. This was a crime, as no one could commit murder for personal pleasure. Ilse was not truly tried for her crimes until 1947, after the end of the war. With the Nazis losing the war, trials were held for those who had committed war crimes. One of these trials was organized by the Americans, and Ilse Koch was on trial. However, she was not tried for the items she made from human skin but for her activities in the concentration camp. In 1947, the court deemed it appropriate to sentence her to life imprisonment, although her sentence was later reduced to 4 years. While in prison, Ilse became pregnant after having sexual relations with a guard, which led to a further reduction in her sentence. During this time, it was also revealed that she had made items from human skin. These revelations shocked the public, and the reduction of her sentence was heavily criticized. Photos shared in newspapers horrified everyone. In 1950, the government of West Germany decided to retry Ilse Koch. She was eventually sentenced to life imprisonment once again. After receiving her sentence, Ilse Koch continuously claimed her innocence and appealed, but she received no response. She believed that, like the American trials, she would be able to escape this situation, but it didn't go as she expected. In 1967, she committed suicide in her cell. In this video, we learned about Ilse Koch, a Nazi witch. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, you can leave a comment explaining why. Take care, and see you in the next videos.